I'd like to invite the children to gather for a message. So as you're coming up, how are you guys doing? Oh, we miss you. It's been a while since we got to see you, so I'm hoping you're doing okay. So in this time of when we're not together and not doing stuff and we have time on our hands, sort of, Pastor John and I like to go for a walk. And when we're out and about, we get to see the flowers and the trees. Sometimes we run into people as we're walking. There's not a lot of cars out, but at least we see maybe on the sidewalks there's chalk print paintings and things. So there's all kinds of things that we see when we're out for a walk. And the story today that Pastor John's going to talk about the story is about a walk. And there are two men that are out for a walk. And they're walking to a place called Emmaus. And as they're walking and they're talking, they've been talking about Jesus because it's right after Jesus died and he rose again, remember, on Easter? Jesus rose, and so they're talking about Jesus. And pretty soon another man comes up with them and walks with them. And so they're engaging him in conversation and they're chatting as they're walking. And the man asks them what they're talking about. And they said, well, Jesus, of course. And the man said, well, who is this Jesus guy? And they kind of looked at him and said, are you the only person in town that doesn't know who Jesus is? Come on. And so they told him about Jesus and learned about Jesus and told him about everything that happened. And then by the time they got to talking, they got to the house where the people lived. And it was dark. And it was late, and they were getting hungry. And so the two men invited the stranger to come to have dinner with them. And so the stranger came, and they sat down to have dinner, and the stranger blessed the meal, and he broke the bread. And all of a sudden, the two men said, you're Jesus! Jesus has been with us the whole time. That's pretty cool, huh? Yeah. And they didn't recognize him. And they didn't, but they knew, but he was with them, which was pretty neat, huh? So when you think about it, when we go for our walks, do we see Jesus? Where do we see Jesus when we're going for a walk? Where do you see Jesus? Maybe in the buds of the trees, we see new life. And in the people that we pass, we see Jesus. And maybe in your teachers that you've been Zooming with and connecting with, you see Jesus in your teachers. And the healthcare people, so all kinds of places and people where we see Jesus. And even when we're not thinking about it, Jesus is all around us, isn't he? Yeah. Even if we don't think about it, or even if we sometimes miss that he's there, or we don't recognize that Jesus is there. And actually, all you have to do is look in the mirror and you see Jesus in you. So this week, when you're out and about, sort of, in a safe way, if you're walking or if you're hanging out with your friends, well, you can't hang with your friends, but if you see them on their Zoom, or when you're just being with your family, think about ways and places where you see Jesus. And maybe you could share that with me. And let me know where you see Jesus this week. But always remember that Jesus is always with you, even when we don't really remember or think about it. Jesus is there. And we open our eyes and we see him. So remember, Jesus is always with you. And see where you can find him this week. See you next week.